Hey, so a couple of quick warnings here. Number one, obvious spoiler warning because we are going to be talking about Season 1 of Pokemon Horizons here. I didn't really withhold a lot of the words that I was saying when I was talking about this, so, be very cautious if you haven't seen Pokemon Horizons yet. I do recommend you go and watch it before you come back. And warning number two, obviously for copyright reasons, I cannot really show much footage of the actual series because I will get struck down with an axe and everything. Pokemon Company is not having that, you know what I'm saying? So, it'll be mostly random pictures and stuff like that while we just chit-chat about the show. But if you're okay with me just kind of being in the background while we chit-chat about it, then that's all good. So, hopefully you guys enjoy. All right, take it away past me. Alright. What's good, y'all? Soul here, and welcome back to my story mode. So, yeah, you have seen the title and you've seen the thumbnail. For today's video, we are actually taking a little bit of a break from talking about Pokemon Legends ZA. And this is actually a video I meant to put out a long time ago. As a matter of fact, this is actually my second time recording this video. Well over almost 2 months ago now, they released the first 12 episodes of Pokemon Horizons on Netflix. And I watched it well over a month ago. I recorded my thoughts about it, and then I promptly forgot to edit it, and then when I cleaned off my computer, completely forgot that I still had the recording of all my thoughts about Pokemon Horizons on there, and now that version is gone. So, here we are. Now, in a way, this kind of works out, actually, right? Because the second part of Pokemon Horizons Season 1 is set to come out sometime early May. At the risk of dating the hell out of this video, it's actually extremely late April. So that means that we only have like about 2 or so weeks before the next part of Pokemon Horizons Season 1 drops on Netflix. So I figured, hey, better late than never. It's a little bit of a downtime when it comes to Pokemon stuff, so we may as well get into some other things, starting with really getting into Pokemon Horizons stuff, because I do have a lot to say, actually, when it comes to Pokemon anime-related stuff. I actually really do regret not actually keeping up with the primary anime before Horizons, because I was always in the loop about the news and stuff that was happening with the anime, and, I was doing PokeTubing stuff for the last, 3 years or something like that, and I just never got around to talking about it. And so, with Pokemon Horizons, I actually want to stay up to date as much as I possibly can. And so, with this video, that is me kind of confirming that, yeah, we're going to be talking about Pokemon Horizons as long as it goes on, because it's important to the Pokemon franchise now. And so here we are. But when it comes to Pokemon Horizons, I think I want to do things a little more chill, right? Which is why throughout this video, you're probably going to hear a lot of ums and you-knows and rights or whatever. A lot of things that I tend to repeat when I do these freeball style videos, just because that's how I process my words. But essentially, this is very much a freeball. I'm pretty much off the cuff for the most part. I have a little bit of an organized script here because, again, it has been well over a month since I watched Pokemon Horizons episodes 1 through 12, and remembering everything would be kind of hard on my own because it's not really as fresh in my mind anymore. I've watched a lot of things since it's dropped, and so, I'm kind of refreshing myself with this very old script, but for the most part, I think it's still relatively accurate to how I felt then, and I've now just had a little more time to process it. So, we're going to talk about the goods and bads of Pokemon Horizons so far. Now, obviously, we're going to start with the goods, and the first major good part of this is actually the fact that there is an actual progressing storyline. That is something that is extremely important to me whenever I play games, whenever I consume any kind of content, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's an actual progressing story to follow, and I love that. I love my episodic things here and there, but, as far as cartoons go and anime goes, in my cartoons, that's fine. Episodic things, stuff happens. Oh, it's cute, it's fun, whatever. I don't really care. That's fine. You know what I'm saying? But it's a lot easier for me to get invested into something when there's an actual progressing storyline. you know. And in the original Pokemon anime, yeah, there was an ongoing progressing storyline, which was Ash working to become the best trainer that he possibly could be. However, for the most part, when it came to the anime, it was episodic. They would go on random adventures, and the plot usually revolved around one situation that usually got resolved in about 1 to 2 episodes, and it wouldn't progress much further than that. And maybe the character would be remembered here and there that was involved with the situation with Ash and gang or yada yada yada, but whatever. Long story short, there wasn't really a heavy progressing storyline that, you know, was seated within each episode, besides, you know, Ash trying to become the best. Either it was an episode about Ash battling, or it was an episode about something completely random. In the case of Pokemon Horizons, I guess spoiler warning, I'll put it at the beginning just, you know, in case. But yeah, I'm going to be talking about spoilers in this. But in the case of Pokemon Horizons, right, you have Liko, who received this pendant from her grandmother, which obviously has something to do with Terrapagos, right? There's absolutely no mystery behind that. We all knew that since the trailers and stuff like that. But this pendant that she received from her grandmother is very important somehow. She just didn't really know that. She thought of it as a gift until people started hunting her down for said pendant, right? And so the Rising Volt Tacklers took her under their wing to initially get her back to her mother at her request. However, Liko obviously developed a little bit, and going on this journey made her realize, yeah, I want to learn more about being a Pokemon trainer and really go out there and discover myself. And so that's the ultimate, you know, the ultimate goal, of course. But there is a primary plot line in which, for whatever reason, these other guys need this pendant. Now, for the most part, that was a very general explanation, of course. I'm not going into detail about every single little nuance about it or anything like that. I'm here to talk about my goods and my negatives, you know what I'm saying? But for the most part, I appreciate that there is, at the very least, no matter how far off they stray, there is an actual ongoing story, you know what I'm saying? And I really, really appreciate that. And I think the thing that I appreciate the most so far, this could definitely bite me in the ass based on what I'm seeing for the second part and for like next season and stuff like that, but it seems that they're not really following the story of a Pokemon series or story that we already know of, right? The whole concept of the Rising Volt Tacklers, them traveling from region to region, from place to place on this giant airship for the Rising Volt Tacklers, is actually a really neat concept that I appreciate a lot. Something that I would love to see in, you know, a game version or something like that. But I also appreciate, again, that it's just its own story, that it's got its own thing going on. They've got their own unique concepts and their own completely unique characters, which I'll get to that in a minute. But it's just nice. I like situations where we have the world, but we get to focus on a different story entirely. You get what I'm getting at? There's stories that take place in this world that, you know, we finally get to see in stuff like Pokemon Horizons, and I really like that. Moving on here, like I said a moment ago, I really like the characters, or I guess the cast this time around, right? Because it's something fresh, it's something new. It's not a bunch of familiar faces, of course. You know, we do have like Nimona and stuff like that that shows up every now and again, of course. But for the most part, we've got a completely original cast, all with their own unique sets of stories and backgrounds and histories and stuff like that. Things that led them to become the Rising Volt Tacklers. And I really, really appreciate that. Okay, like, we're not focusing on characters that we've known forever and they're just getting chucked headfirst into an adventure with Ash, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, I really come to like, you know, Silent and all that from 5th gen and all that and everything, but, you know, you see them in the anime and then you see their video game counterpart and then you're like, oh my goodness, like, where is their character? Like, it's just so sad to see that, you know, these characters are absolutely just completely nothing in the games as far as the story goes, which is why I think I enjoy it better when you actually focus on characters that don't have a general presence in Pokemon already, and just giving these characters just original stories, a completely just unique set of styles and everything like that. I really, really appreciate the Rising Volt Tacklers. They're kind of a fun group, actually. I would, you know, as a little kid, nothing would make me happier than going on an adventure with the Rising Volt Tacklers, learning about all these little weirdos and their quirks and stuff like that. and it's fun. It's a lot of fun. I really enjoy that. Okay, even with Liko and Roy, I have my qualms about them, of course, but you know, I think it's good that we finally stepped away from Ash and that we finally have, you know, characters that aren't based on anything prior as opposed to like a main character or something like that. These are characters that have their own stories, their own goals, their own dreams, their own histories, and I like that a lot. I really do. Also, I gotta say, team leader Freed, oh my goodness, that is such a great character. I feel like he's the only character whenever he's on screen that talks like a normal person. Does that make any sense, right? I feel like everybody else is just like, you know, they're good, they're fine, whatever, I have no problem with them. But Freed is the realest one there. I feel like he's actively like the only one that really steps out of the screen for me. I really like his character. He's the most fun whenever he's on screen. I just want to hear him talk about anything. I love his character so much, and he's so damn cool. He's such a badass. Like, oh my goodness, I love this dummy so much. He's such a great character, and I cannot wait to see more of him. And I want to see more development. I want to learn more of his secrets. I know we're going to get more of that down the line, of course, but I hope that, you know, he keeps his character, that fun, loving spirit of adventure and stuff like that. He's just such a, he's so cool. I love Freed as a concept. They did really good with him. Bang up job. Design wise too. Love his little hat, you know what I'm saying? He's just such a guy. There's really not much more to it than that. Freed is just the best character. By a mile. It's not even close. So for the most part, we've seemed to talk about a lot of my goods here. So moving into the bad, just jumping right into it. I did mention this earlier that I do have a couple of qualms regarding Liko and Roy. But in reality, all of those qualms boil down to, it's still very early, right? Their characters are not very strong to me yet. And you know, that's okay. That kind of happens sometimes, you know? These characters didn't really know what they had, what they wanted to do, where they want to go, or anything like that. They're kind of directionless very early on, and they kind of get a little bit of direction going forward. I mean, obviously Roy, more than Liko, had much more of a direction going forward. You know, he's always wanted to learn more about Pokemon and stuff like that. Going on this adventure was just what he needed, what he wanted for sure. Liko, on the other hand, had absolutely no clue what she wanted to do. But again, that's totally fine. This is a situation in which we know we're going to be with them for a long time. We need to let these characters grow and develop, right? Because you're not always going to like a character right from the get-go. We've seen that in all types of media, and of course it's not going to be the exact same experience for everybody, right? Maybe a lot of people who have watched Pokemon Horizon loved Liko and Roy right off the bat. I just wasn't one of those people. Hell, as a matter of fact, some of my favorite characters, like Steven Universe, for example, right? I love Steven as a character. I did not like him at first. I didn't like him in the pilot episode. I didn't like him the first couple episodes, but the more I let those seasons go on, I really came to understand, like, oh, he's a kid, you know, and he's always seen the brighter sides of life and stuff like that. And you know, it took a while to really understand that, because I didn't really like season 1 as much at first, because I found the kid annoying. But then it really grew on me, like, this is him growing up, this is him learning about the world, this is him learning about what he wants, who he is, and stuff like that. And you know, they got to put him through a lot of hardships, just like anybody else, to really learn where you want to be with yourself and stuff like that. And so when I think about stuff like that, I think about Liko and Roy. I'm like, okay, they don't really have much going for them right now, but there's a very good chance that down the line, these characters are going to learn who they want to be, what they want to do, and they'll develop into more likable, enjoyable characters for me. Now, again, I don't hate them, of course. They're okay, you know, they're just not really strong protagonists to me, is all it is, right? So I'm down to learn more about them, though. I'm here to learn more about them. That's what the series is about, and that's why I'm looking forward to the next season. I want to learn more about these characters, and I'm sure that they'll have plenty of situations where they'll be forced to develop and, you know, grow and learn. Hell, even in moments throughout season 1, there are times where I appreciated their characters and stuff like that, you know? I really liked that they tried to get out the other girl that was doing the Nidoking show and stuff like that. Or is it Nido Queen? I'm sorry. Either way, I appreciated their characters. You know, they're just little kids trying to be, you know, friends with them. And I like that, you know? Again, I have nothing completely against them. I just don't think that they're very strong protagonists yet. But they can absolutely still grow into those roles by all means. And so you just gotta give these writers a little bit of time to cook. We'll see what happens. Of course, again, you know, it's not gonna be the most like crazy writing or anything like that. You got to remember who the Pokemon anime is for. The demographic is definitely, you know, it's not for, you know, the older folks, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, it could definitely still grow in a very pleasant way. So we'll just let them cook and see what happens from there. Now, the only thing that truly actually irked me a little bit, which was very disappointing, but I should have probably seen this coming, is that outside of battling, the animation is absurdly bad. Like, things just don't look up to par with modern anime, especially with Pokemon. Again, they have no excuse for a lot of things, but rushing development on an anime that could just go crazy if you actually allowed it the time to cook properly, I'm sorry, man. There's no way y'all let this actually cook properly. There's no way these guys don't have some kind of a budget, right? Because like, what's going on outside of the battles, bro? Things look stiff, things look gross, things look unproportional, things look really ugly at times, especially when they're far away, almost like they didn't really care to pencil them in, you know, at least craftfully so they fit nicer in the backgrounds and stuff like that. Things look awkward at times and it looks really gross, and sometimes it takes me out of it. It's not all the time, of course. It's just, there's times where, you know, it's just like, oh my god, like, why don't we have more anime that looks like anything from Pokemon Generations, anything from Twilight Wings, anything from all of these other shorts for Pokemon? Why doesn't the primary anime look like that? Why do we get these 5-minute shorts that look absolutely beautiful with the craziest storytelling we've ever seen, and then we get the mainline 25 episode a season anime that looks like it's on the heaviest budget you've ever seen? Like, what's going on with that? I will never ever understand that, and that's something that's always going to frustrate me, because I promise you, if they were to allow the storytelling and the animation quality that they would put effort into for the shorts series like Generations, Twilight Wings, for Hisuian Snow and stuff like that, we could have easily some of the best animation ever. Some of the best Pokemon series, like the best Pokemon related media of all time, and they just won't do it, and I don't get it. So that sucks. That's really frustrating sometimes, okay? Now, of course, you know, the animation has definitely gotten better, like, from, like, the 90s and stuff like that, where, you know, the casual animation of, like, you know, expressions and stuff like that, the flair in certain aspects, you know, it's totally fine. I could rock with that. However, there's definitely way too many situations in which things just don't look like they could and should, and it's really frustrating, especially when you can see when they use the budget on certain aspects of the series, like the intro, for example, for season, I think it's the season 2 intro, I don't know if it's the next one, but the Japanese season 2 intro looks astounding, just absolutely gorgeous. Nothing else in the anime looks like that now, or is ever gonna look like that, and I don't understand what that's about. It's ridiculous. So whatever, that's my 2 cents on that. I don't care for the animation. It's very frustrating sometimes. The battles, they can look really good sometimes, and that's great that, you know, you're at least putting the time and budget and effort into those specific places, because Pokemon battling is, if that looks bad, you don't even have a series, right? So at the very least, the Pokemon battles look okay for the most part when they get serious, but anything outside of that is either mid or just not okay at all. And it's very frustrating sometimes, but you can only do so much on very limited time, I guess, for whatever reason, but it is what it is. So that actually just about does it for this little, I guess we'll call it review, or like overview of Pokemon Horizons Part 1 of Season 1, because we've only gotten the first 12 episodes, remember. So Part 2 is coming out in a couple of weeks from now. This is not me advertising it, by the way. This is, Pokemon ain't paying me nothing, bro. They would absolutely despise me if they saw my channel. But, you know, with the the new episode's just a couple of weeks away, you know. We've had a lot of time to reflect on this, and, you know, we've got a lot to look forward to in terms of a second season. Now, of course, there's a lot of things that could be done better down the line. Hopefully, animation gets better. Hopefully, you know, a lot of aspects in story writing gets even better, especially for Liko and Roy as protagonists. I really hope that they really grow into their roles, but, you know, we got to give them time to do that. And for a long-standing anime like Pokemon, we gotta understand that that's probably going to take a little bit more time. But I don't mind letting them have their time to cook. So I'm going to go ahead and let them do just that. But before we go, I'm passing the mic in your direction, and you're going to sit there and tell me what you guys thought about Pokemon Horizons. Did you enjoy it? Did you like all aspects? Did you really enjoy what they presented to us as a Pokemon anime, especially coming after, you know, hot off the heels of the original with Ash and stuff like that? Or do you not care for Pokemon Horizons? You don't even think about it. It's not something that's gonna stick with you, and that's something you're probably not gonna stick with. You don't really feel anything for it. Tell me everything that you guys are thinking in the comment section below, because you know for a fact that I'm always gonna be down there with you guys. But with that, it does appear to be skedaddle o'clock, so I would like to thank you guys ever so much for watching. I truly do hope you enjoyed. Do me the greatest favor of dropping a like and a comment, and consider subscribing for more content just like this. And with that, I'm gonzo. Thanks again, hope you enjoyed, and I'll be seeing you guys in the next video. Do me the greatest favor, taking good ass care, and I'll see you all next time.